Well, hi everyone. My name's Lyndsey Douglas. I'm a show ring announcer and I've been involved in royal shows around Australia for many years. And right now, I should be with you at the Royal Melbourne Show, but alas, it's not to be. We've decided though here at the Royal Agricultural Society of Victoria to keep the spirit of the Royal Melbourne Show alive. So we are pleased to present this campaign, which is celebrating the show online, where over the next 11 days, I'll conduct a series of interviews with the personalities and characters that make up the Royal Melbourne Show, their competitors, their judges, their committee members, stewards, volunteers. They are people that just go to the show every year and love it, young and old. We're going to speak to them all and we're going to figure out what makes them tick and how they contribute to the fabric of the show community that comes together every year for such a special event. I personally can't wait to find out more about these individuals and bring their stories to you. But it makes sense that we start with the CEO of the Royal Agricultural Society of Victoria, Brad Jenkins. You should be at the show. That must have been a really tough decision for you and the broader show community earlier this year.
Well, it certainly was, Lyndsey, and it's great to have you on board to celebrate the show online. Unfortunately, it can't be the real event, but this is the next best thing, so great to have you on board. It certainly was a difficult decision, and when you consider that the Royal Melbourne Show has been going since 1855 and it's only ever been cancelled, twice before, once in the First World War and then the second, and following in the Second World War, it was a massive decision. And I'm just thrilled that everyone's got behind the decision and was keen to see the show spirit stay alive online this year.
How did the community respond to the announcement? It's such a beloved event, and people who have competed at the Royal have loved it for generations, and it's often part of family history. What was the response from the community? Had they expected that decision?
Yeah, Lyndsey, they were very much most people were disappointed. Obviously, it was cancelled. I look forward to it each year. It's for many people, it's their major event of the year. From families that plan their whole school holidays around the Royal Melbourne Show. But very much the community was very supportive and expected the decision. But when we consider those who are involved in the show, from those the thousands of exhibitors that come to the show each year, come from all over Australia, and particularly rural and regional Victoria, to compete, to our staff who are, they're all pretty much involved in the show. They're all disappointed. To the volunteers, who many of them take off time from their full-time work to come and work as a volunteer at the show, through to our members who pretty much they join the RASV for benefits at the show. And to the whole show community, to the ride operators and the show bag exhibitors, to all the other commercial exhibitors that come to the show each year, plus the favourites like the CWA who rely on baking scones, 14,000 of them thereabouts last year who missed out on that revenue. So there's a revenue part, and then there's also our sponsors who obviously love using the show as a unique platform to reach and connect and engage with consumers. But I guess ultimately, and you can see from our Facebook posts and so forth, that on Instagram, and so the Victorian community, they've been very much enjoy the show and are very disappointed they can't come to the event this year.
I wonder if I could ask our viewers on social media now to tell us in the comments below, what is the one thing you're really missing? Is it a particular naughty show food? Is it a section of the show that you love? Is it a particular event or a class that you really enjoy sitting and watching? Or if you're a competitor, what are you missing out on this year? We'd love to hear your comments below. You mentioned before, Brad, just the sheer volume and types of people involved with the show. I wonder, is there a quick way to tell us the real size and scale of the show as it stands today?
Well, it's certainly the much loved event in Victoria. It's renowned as Victoria's largest and most iconic annual community event, and when you consider it's been going since 1855, it's very unique in that size and scale. Attracting 450,000 people over 11 days, and when you consider. You should read. I encourage you to read the book Speed the Plough. Actually, Lyndsey, it's the history of the RASV and just shows the evolution of the show over that time, and really goes with the history of our great state in terms of the ebbs and flows of the success of the show, and really today contributes around about $244 million in economic value to the state. but it's also the social part of it as well. So we talk about economic and social value to the state. So there's many people who come to the show each year, particularly a lot of our exhibitors who really come for that social interaction, to meet up with old friends, and they've been exhibiting their cattle for many, many years and generations quite often, and that is a really important part. And it certainly would not be possible to put on an event of the size and scale of the Royal Melbourne Show without the enormous amount of people involved. You know, as I said, those exhibitors, but the volunteers, the sponsors, the suppliers, the partners, the officials, and so forth. So it's a very unique event. I mean, I've been involved in a number of other major events, but this Royal Melbourne Show is truly unique in that way. There's so many different people involved in so many different sections.
You talked about the history of the show, and there's so much tradition that goes into a royal event, and maintaining a lot of that tradition is really central to the organisation. But also there's an element of looking towards the future. Tell me, what can we look forward to at the 2021 show? Have we got some dates that we can put into our calendars yet?
Lyndsey, we've got a lot to look forward to in 2021. I mean, we are next year in 21. We've really started planning that. We've used this time wisely and really invested in an opportunity to review, reset, and reimagine the 21 show. And it'll be really key elements. There'll be new dates. So we're starting on Thursday the 23rd of September and going through to Sunday the 3rd of October. So when we think about those dates, it's starting a little bit later than previous years, starting on the Thursday, which is on the eve of a public holiday in Victoria. And then most of the show will be post the AFL Grand Final, subject to when they do play the Grand Final next year, but also in the second week of school holidays. But we're really going to focus on the key pillars of what the uniqueness of the show is all about. So there'll be a greater emphasis on the agriculture, you know, from the serious agriculture to the fun farming part. There'll be a greater emphasis on food experiences and activations. And one key pillar that we really want to focus on is community. We really want the Royal Melbourne Show to be the event that Victorians come back together to celebrate, and to also acknowledge and thank those who have been on the front line, particularly during this COVID, and also but the bushfires, you know, that we experienced earlier in the year. So it's really an opportunity for the community to come together and celebrate and acknowledge those. But ultimately, it's the customer, greater customer value, better, improved customer experience, and really looking through that customer lens to make sure that ultimately we see the Melbourne Royal as the cultivator of happiness. And it's all about putting smiles on people's faces. And I think in these times, we need to do a lot more of that and give people more opportunity to do that. And we're looking forward to the Melbourne Show being the platform where Victorians can come back out and celebrate and have a great time.
Well, your customers this year are our digital audience, watching our new campaign, Celebrating the Show Online. What can they look forward to over the next 11 days? Yeah,
look, the team that I've got have put together an amazing content program for the next 11 days. I mean, really kicking off on the 19th of September and going through the 29th of September. It's all around about, you know, again, acknowledging and recognising some of the great personalities involved in the show. You know, I mean, for example, Alf Woods, you're going to be interviewing a bit later on. He's 91, right, and he's been involved in the Royal Melbourne Show for more than 80 years in the poultry section. So he'll be fascinating to talk to. There'll also be, you know, the likes of Justin Johnson, who is a Gippsland farmer, and he's a breeder of Holstein cattle and so forth. So, and then you'll have Anne-Marie Primer, who has been involved in the art and craft competition, and she has been a remarkable 13-time winner of the cookery exhibitor. So you're going to meet some great personalities who really love the show, and that's what the show's about. All these different talents and their expertise that get involved. But also there's going to be a chance to win. There's going to be great prizes on offer. There'll be a mask making competition. There's a whole host of other things to get involved and engage with. There's even going to be a live farm cam. So Farmer Daryl, who does a great job at the Royal Melbourne Show, he said, don't leave me out of the virtual show. I want to be part of it. Bring your cameras out and we'll do some live farm cams. So you'll hear from Farmer Daryl. He'll keep the kids entertained. So there's a lot happening, and there's going to be a lot more released over the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh, well, I think you and your team need to be recognised for your very innovative approach to running a show this year in 2020 under such challenging circumstances. Final question for you, Brad. It is the 23rd of September 2021. The Royal Melbourne Show is about to kick off. There's going to be someone watching this right now who has never been to a Royal Melbourne Show before. What are some of the must-do activities, whether it's seeing things, experiencing competitions or eating foods, that you as CEO highly recommend?
Well, look, everyone's show is different, so if you think about the show journey when you're, it was, as we said, it's been a major tradition for a lot of families. You go as a young child, usually the first time as a 4 or 5 year old, and get to see a baby lamb for the first time. Then you might go as a little bit older child, sort of the 8 to 12, and probably want more of the rides and the show bags and a bit of entertainment. And then you go as a teenager and potentially, it's the first time your parents let you hang out by yourselves with your friends and go on all the rides and so forth. And then maybe even go back as a young adult and enjoy the festivalisation of the event and the food and beverage that is on offer, and sit out and enjoy the live entertainment and have a drink and some wonderful eateries. Then you come back as a mother or a father or parents and family, and you bring your young kids and have a whole new experience where you want to take your children to enjoy those experiences that you had, and go into the animal nursery and seeing the smiles on your children's faces when they touch that baby lamb for the first time, or see a large bull. It's priceless. And then potentially you come back as a grandparent, and you do it all over again. So the show is that journey. But the thing that I'm looking forward to most is seeing smiles on people's faces. I mean, we've gone through a challenging period. Everyone's challenging time this year, and we're looking forward to 2021 and putting smiles on people's faces again at the Royal Melbourne Show. We do believe the Melbourne Royal is the cultivator of happiness, and we think that this can be the platform to put smiles back on people's faces.
Well, until the real show next year, we invite you all to enjoy celebrating the show online with us here. We want to see your comments below. We look forward to introducing these colourful characters to you over the next 11 days. I'm Lyndsey Douglas. We've been interviewing the CEO of the Royal Agricultural Society of Victoria today, Brad Jenkins, and enjoy the program. We'll be back with more soon.